Going.
Let's go. Yeah. A little bit too far off one way where now I'm trying to come back to the middle and have that like same between that like that perfect balance between the logical, emotional. But part two, baby. Part
That's right.
two.
That's
Come on.
right. Part two. What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man. Happy to be back. And we are doing part two with Mr. Erik Libby. What's going on? We just got into the conversation. We were talking a little bit about like I guess being people being people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you had posed a question about like, do I like people or is there an extent like and I like actually that I think my end all goal, right, is to bring people together, like to create
Mhm.
events or spaces or time where people can come in, hang out, have a good time, whether it's music, food, even talks, people sharing, communicating them on like, hey, this is what's working for me, like kind of what we're doing now.
Right.
Um, and then creating something so that they feel a certain way moving forward. And I feel like I've
Yeah.
done events before where I've either spoken or I've put them together. And it takes a lot of energy to be the person that like when you're at the place, you need to either speak to everybody or make sure everybody gets a little bit of that of what they're seeking from that
Right.
person. You know what I mean? And then like I've done that where like I'm like, hey,
Mm.
everybody good, cool, everybody all right, cool. You guys are doing great. Let me go talk to these guys for a second. What's going on, everybody? Well, yeah, oh yeah, your dog, cool,
Right.
like whatever. And then I get home and be like, oh my God, I'm fucking tired.
Wow.
It's a lot of energy. It's a lot. I feel it's a lot of it is a lot of energy.
And can I jump in there real
Yeah,
quick
jump in.
on
Yeah.
so the better you are at it, the more people expect of it as well. So, like witnessing, just for example, a BNI, like
Right.
everyone expects you come in with energy, Wilson. If you don't, like you're letting the people down. Like
Yeah.
people want to see that energy you come in fired up. Like you hear the people when they Wilson,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time. So they have a high bar. So now it's like you're setting that bar higher and higher and higher. And now you have to deliver. You have to come in. You have to make sure you're going the rounds. You're connecting to the people because
Yeah.
if you don't, like, what's wrong? What's going on with Wilson? Like,
Yeah.
why? And it's maybe it's an average for the average person. It's the average day, but it's
Yeah.
like you set the bar high, and it's like people will have those high expectations. So you have to deliver. So I would imagine like you do step away, and then you almost need an energy reset where you're just like
Uh-huh.
isolation, so you can
Yep.
think about thoughts on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then in those moments, like I think about like and sometimes I go back and think about like, okay, what could I have done better in terms of this situation and how I acted or done, et cetera, et cetera. But then I also, I guess, get those moments to reflect back and be like, well, I'm happy that I am that person. And then that sort of resets my battery to come back and
Right.
and be that person again. But you were there when that one moment where I was like that, it was sort of I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like, nah, I'm not really feeling it. And I came back to my seat and like someone else had
Yeah.
to like hop in. Um, but yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's something that I'm continuing like I love the concept that you said about just, moving away from that almost empathy,
Empathy. Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Right.
right, empath sort of structure of the brain and going more to like the logical thinking. And when I was reading the power, was it the power within? No, the power of now. I became, I guess I used that more. Not that I wasn't empathetic, but I was more centered around what's actually happening right now versus like all these thoughts in my head of like, what is that person feeling? How
Interesting.
are they feeling? Why are they feeling
Right.
this way? Should I do something? Should I not? Am I doing the right thing? Like, as soon as I ground,
Interesting.
yeah, as soon as I grounded more, and for a minute, dude, for like 6 months straight, I kept listening to it in the morning. Like I would wake up and it would be Alexa, play The Power of Now, and wherever I left off, I would listen for 15 minutes to get me re-engaged on that thought of just be present for the day, like just be
Yeah.
present at whatever
Right.
you're doing. I loved it.
That.
I just, it's hard. It's hard to if you're not
To,
on it consistently, it's
right.
hard to stay in that present moment all the time. And I
Yeah,
think that's what it is.
absolutely. And so let me challenge because I've had that experience. Like I've had that happen to me before. Let me challenge you because this is what I experience sometimes
Yeah.
when you get into that empathy mode where is it empathy that it's you're making sure people are taken care of, or is it the people pleasing tendency where it's like you're sacrificing who you need to be away from that and then thinking like, how can I make the most amount of people happy in the present when
Yeah.
like I'm not going not staying true to myself, which I've done that before. But maybe that's like something good to reflect on, because like, I mean, we
Super great
do
to
that.
reflect
Like,
on. Yeah.
um, you have the experiences where you do want everyone to think of you in that high regard, and then it gets into that like people pleasing. I'm going to say the things that will
Yeah.
everyone gets really amped up just because, but it's not actually where I'm at or what I'm trying to experience, or I'm
Yeah.
trying to
It's not
express
necessarily,
myself.
yeah, it's not
Right.
necessarily how I want to fucking be right now.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And reflecting on it, I would say, yeah, it's probably still a lot of that because I was even more of that, like way more of that before, where I'm like, yeah, no problem, no
Mhm.
problem, no problem, no problem, no problem, no
Right.
problem, you know. And the next thing you know, I'm like, fuck, like, why did I,
Yeah. You
you
got
know?
yourself into so many commitments. You went down
Yeah,
so many rabbit holes just to bend over backwards, which it's good because you care about the people.
right.
Like it's in a way to care about the people, but then it sometimes it can go so far, and
Yeah,
that's where it's like that. It's almost, for me, I look at it, it's like there's that balance in
the
between, because
balance.
you go
Right.
so far, and then you're not being as, not even just effective for yourself, but you're it's almost like you're compromising the short term of value you can provide people because you're saying yes.
Yep.
And if you were to say no or kind of back up a little bit, but now you're providing so much more value because you kind of reset, you have that full energy and you deliver it in a different
Yeah,
way, but maybe it just doesn't hit right away. So I'm almost, maybe it's like in a sense, it's like that short term, long term gratification, which it's
oh
like
yeah,
we have to fight ourselves always to go towards what's going to be the hardest, longest, most difficult path, and that's the path we want to take. And that short term is usually it most times is not the one that's the right choice, but it's the one
yeah,
that we
right.
gravitate towards, because it's like law of least effort in
Yeah,
some sort of
yeah,
sense.
really, really good, man,
Yeah,
really good. Welcome to the
yeah,
show, everybody. Welcome to the show.
yeah.
Yeah, no, really good, man. Really good at thinking about it in that way. And you know, it's funny. It's like not like hearing it, right? Like I love the perspective because sometimes in your own brain you have these, you're like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm fucking this spiritual, you know, next level thing. But
Yeah.
you know, sometimes it's still so hard because you're still in the woods, right? Like you're still in there by yourself. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, that's really good. That's really good because like reflecting on it now and even just thinking about it, it's like, yeah, those are things that I used to do. I don't do them to the degree that I do, but I still continue to do so. And I guess it brings me back to that point where I was talking about like episode I think 5. I talk about like growing up with an abusive mom. Not that she was a wonderful lady, but she had tendencies of being like physically and mentally like you know abusive. I
Right.
realized that like she went through her own shit and she didn't have the level of consciousness and awareness at that moment, who she was at that, you know, whatever. I went through the whole understanding her perspective and being like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have done anything equal to or better than her. So I'm good and
Mm.
I understand, you know, where she come from, what happened, etc. And I forgive.
Right.
And so I'm okay with it. So I thought that that was it, right? Like I thought that I was like, okay, cool, I'm cured. Let's go, you know?
Yeah.
But then I had someone else provide me a perspective saying like, hey, there's something there within that mother line thing that's going on that if that you're still holding on to or is still affecting you, and until you let that go or to work on it, it's going to continue to cause you not to get to that, like
That's
it's kind of holding
crazy.
you back
Yeah.
from that next
Yeah.
level, right?
Right.
And so I was like, oh fuck, I never thought about that because like 3 4 years ago I had the conversation with my mom when I was like, perspective wise, I get it, no problem, like you know, it's
Yeah.
cool, like
I forgive. Right.
you know, I
Yeah.
forgive, right? And then 3 years later, come to terms. I'm like, I started reflecting. I'm like, oh shit. Now I understand that there's certain situations that are similar to like how I grew up that then all have like an automatic response of like me being afraid or me like walking on eggshells or like not thinking I'm good enough or like having this hyper
Absolutely.
focus like attention thing where, you know, it
Yeah.
was the same thing growing up for, you know, 12, 15 years of my life, you know, with that
Right.
individual. And it just again, it hit me very similar in terms of connecting what you just said is like if I was doing the same thing years ago of like wanting to people please, people please, people please, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I've gotten better at it. And
Remember.
I
Yeah.
stopped reflecting on it and I continue and that automatic response keeps coming back based on not being conscious or not
Yeah.
working that part of the brain. That's kind of
Wow.
where we got me now, right?
Question on my end, because
Yeah.
I really respect your emotional side. So how do you process emotions that are there for a while, like, because it's almost like it's a thing unseen, we can't see that, right, but it's somewhere there. Do you interpret it as those emotions are like buried on our heart, like it's just like it's stuck in our body? Is it our emotions like just flowing, and then that's how it's like we're just meant to like almost catch it and
Hmm.
then throw it out, right? Like how do you
How do we
interpret the
define emotion?
emotional structure? And
Yeah.
then and then how does one, if they have some sort of pain point, trauma, like something just terrible they've experienced? I don't know if we can say that we have the perfect answer, but like how does one take that and then almost like forgive, forget, move on with like more strength and more like an almost like a rejuvenate. I don't know the perfect word, but like a reset where that's not affecting as much. Like how do we let that flow through us?
Yeah, no, it's those are great questions. Great
Yeah.
questions. Welcome to the show again, everybody. Um, so I guess let's go first question. How do we define or like how does someone uh and I guess my first reactive or my first thought to it was I think well one we understand we understand what emotions are based on like just growing up and going through it. But then my question in my head was like, well, when you're a kid and you're crying, is that emotional? Is it more of a response to like like what is that response? Because
Mm,
if we cry now, it's emotional, right? But if
mm,
we cry when we're kids, like can we sum that like when you're a baby and you want food and you're not getting what you want, is it emotional or is it more of just like a human nation, like a human thing of like saying this is how I communicate with what I need,
right. Right.
right? And then maybe that's exactly it. Like when we hit these emotional points, it's we're trying to communicate or we're not getting what we actually need, you know, and
Right.
then we feel a certain way. But yeah, I guess I don't know, like feel like where does the feeling come from and why do we cry? Like if when we're sad and upset or when we're angry, like where does that it's got to be obviously like a mental connection, right? Because like emotions are really almost like a defined society thing, I guess. I don't know.
Interesting. And I think so. One thing that you can do with emotions is bury it down for some time, right? So it's like
Right.
almost like when we're young or like a baby and you're hungry, you start crying immediately, right? So you
Yeah.
start crying and like, I desire food or I desire attention, and it's immediate. Like it's
Yeah.
like a pretty quick response loop.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you get to, I don't know if there's a breaking point in life or a certain threshold you cross where it's like, yeah, but now I'm hungry, tired, frustrated, sad, don't feel I have great approval, but like stone cold face, everything's fine,
Right.
like you're
You're not
still
supposed to
moving forward at the
cry. You're
right
not supposed to
right.
show.
So it's like what point does that shift? And then it's like, okay, well, and then where is that going? Like it's sticking somewhere because at some point it's a
Yeah.
breaking point, right? So everything kind of like
Yep.
accumulates and it just explodes.
Yep.
So it's like it's like where is that it's like I'm curious, like where does that sit? Is it just like balled up and then it's like all these things until finally we just like how do we get like
Yeah.
how do we take that how does one take that out if they are struggling?
Yeah.
How
Right.
does one remove those chains? And I think it's probably a
Yeah.
tough
It's
question to
it's
consider.
it's a very like very high level. Like how many levels can we go? And I've well, and the other thing I guess to I guess think through that or another like factor would be, if you do take something like again insert your own vocabulary word, but meditation, right? Whether it's sitting with your thoughts and or even talking with someone to like get through that. So like let's take for example the aha moment that I had with my mom, right? Like if I didn't if I didn't have or need or want to like sit and talk it through in my own head, like I would have never came to the conclusion of let me understand her perspective,
Mm,
right? So like I think it's always comes down to thoughts first, like whatever's coming into that brain of ours and
right.
how we then as a society maybe as a society have also figured out like or how we added words of vocabulary to these things, right? So like it's this thought that I feel like I'm not getting what I'm getting. I'm right like I don't know.
Right.
I'm feeling what? Kind of
Yeah.
without even using the word feeling, like, right? So, like, because feeling is part of the emotional process, right? So, like, what would be the word if we're trying to not, use that understood meaning of feeling, like what a feeling is, right? Like we hold it
Right.
close to our hearts, but it's really not in our fucking hearts. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not in
Yeah.
the physical heart,
Yeah.
is it in this, extra level of energy or is it of of whatever it is? But like if I, and again, going back to the thought of, I think it's the thoughts and giving ourselves those moments to reflect on, okay, if this is how I'm feeling, then where did that come from? How is it affecting me? And do I
Right.
continue to do this with an automatic response, not knowing
Yeah.
that I was doing it before, and then not really going the next step or into the next
Right.
rabbit hole and figuring out where it's coming from? It's
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Is it maybe in two? So is it a level of maybe ignorance that we have when we can't solve? Because it's how I'm interpreting you describe that as like you have to go and you have to process, right? So you have to think about how this affected me, how it's affecting me now. So it's like, is it just it affects us because we haven't wrapped our head around the entire, and then once we can and be like, oh, okay, here's the action. Then I take the action, and now that's when it kind of parts. So it's almost like the unmade decision or the lack of understanding, and then there's no unmade decision. So it's like the anxiety kind of builds
yeah,
up,
you don't know
and
what
then
the fuck
that's
to
the
do.
break. So you have to almost decide. You have to take like is that the solution? Is it taking action or like understanding, thinking, like maybe meditating, writing it down, understanding, and then taking action to kind
Yeah.
of move through a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's
I
identifying.
like that.
Yeah, identifying like what is that thing? What
What is
is
the
the
problem? What is the
Mhm.
actual underlying problem? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then even like to the because I feel like there's moments of unconsciousness where we're just like kind of doing or like same thing with me. It's like, oh, I thought I forgave my mom, but it's like, yeah, but you forgot that like there was like years of this shit that you dealt with, and then you're still automatic responding to it. Like I didn't think of that until
Yeah.
someone gave me that perspective. Right. So
Right.
like I feel like it's one being able to, if you have the ability to question why am I feeling this way or why is this happening or why is this feeling right now is like why am I feeling this way in this situation? Identifying it and then being able to then like work on it. Like what was the influence? Why am I
Mm-hmm.
feeling this way? What is my emotional feeling right now? And then how am I
Mm-hmm.
reacting? And are there cyclical moments throughout my day, week, year, months, year that like I get into these similar situations that I never thought that it's very like that these are similar or they're similar to like what it was in the past. And this is why I'm feeling this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I just yeah, I guess where are we going? But
Now I like that point, and I was going to say one thing that just helps when I go through a moment like that is if I'm uncertain, if I'm not confident in a decision, or I'm just like feel like stressed with a bunch of stuff. A lot of times I'll write it out. Like, what
yeah,
is the actual underlying problem? Like sometimes it's deeply rooted, and like
yeah,
any question you ask, there's always like 5 layers deeper of questions or problems that are happening.
right.
So it's like
Five
really
little
getting
whys.
clear.
Yeah,
But write that down, and then I can once I see it, I'm like, oh, that's literally not nearly as bad of a problem as I thought it was. But I couldn't see it, so that's like the anxious. It's like the energy is like it's almost trapped and it doesn't know where to go because you
yeah,
don't know, you haven't defined it and you're unclear.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I
I think
agree.
does that put a bow on the point? I think it does.
Yeah,
I think it
I think so. I
uh,
reflection, identifying. It's all in our fucking heads.
it's in our
It's just
heads. Yeah.
it's all in our heads trying to figure that out. But yeah, dude, it's good. It's good stuff. And I think the other thing is like once you identify it, figure out a way for it to become um consistently part of that new consciousness, right? Because like now that I'm like, okay, I know that I need to work on the stuff. It's like, am I consistently in the morning saying to myself or writing down or have something in front of me to like remind me of doing that mental rep when I
Yeah.
start feeling this way or I'm in these situations.
Right.
I think that's also important for
Because
that.
we forget very
Right.
easily.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we got to go, traffic, life, work. Next thing you
Moving
know,
on to
you're
the
like,
next thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Cool, man. So what about you? Tell me a little something about you. Like what, you know, did you have parents that were abusive? Like what's your story? Like what's something that like, you've dealt with or something like that, deep down
A,
rooted and
ch-
you were able to like understand it and figure it out. And you're like, oh shit.
a challenging, yeah. So one of the things I brought to the call was a challenging situation I went through that I kind of had to change perspectives, and I brought a story with it.
Cool.
Highlight on my parents. My parents are great. I mean, I grew up in I'm very thankful for the parents I've had, encouraged me to be an entrepreneur. And my dad is a sales manager. He's worked in sales all of his life, so I have kind of that sales spirit. My
Fantastic.
mom's a real estate agent, and I mean, both entrepreneurial sales. So I mean, that's just kind of where
Yeah, it's
it
awesome.
kind of
That's the
stemmed
influence, baby.
from.
That's the
Yeah, that's the
influence. Yeah.
influence.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where it came from. But no, so I wanted to share a story about one of the things that one of the harder moments in my entrepreneurial endeavor so far. And it's when I had to make the decision to fully commit, which was a really hard thing. And so when I first started the company, it was back in 2020. You can see established 2020 here. And it was very, very intro to business. It was just helping neighbors with chores. It was grandma's next door neighbor needed help, you know, shoveling out a plant
Yeah.
or, helping people move a couple things. And I was like, I didn't know anything about business. I was just
Yeah.
like, all right, I need some side money, like kind of running around and figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I continue to grow with it, I kept making the decision like when I go to school, as in when I go to college, I'm going to stop the business. And then I start school and I'm like, you know what, let's continue on a little longer and see what happens. And this is all when COVID's going on. So my first time at school, it
Got it.
was I wasn't actually on campus. I was commuting back and forth. So I was like, you know what?
Got it.
I'm still in the town. I can give this a shot. So went on, ran a little bit longer. And the next year came around and I said, you know what? As soon as I move onto campus, because I'm going to be there for a year and a half, I'm going to stop the company. I'm going to stop. I'm going to focus on school. I'm going to go get a job after. Like that's my ideal career path. I think that's what makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I get to school and I have a couple of people that are really passionate with in our company that I'm so thankful for because they also encourage me to yeah, we can run it from here and keep it rolling. And we're kind of like, running it like you come back on weekends and I'm like, you know what, like, okay, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. And so that went on for another year. And now this is kind of where I get into my difficult portion. I think this is one of the more challenging situations I had to face or decisions I had to make since starting the company. And now it's 2022 and it's November of 2022. So I've been in business now about 2 years and I graduate December 2022. So I have about a month until graduation. And I'm coming into that final semester of school and I'm realizing, I have like, am I gonna do this entrepreneurship thing? Do I need to find a job? And I'd think about it and I wouldn't want to think about it. And I think about it and I wouldn't want to think about it. Kept coming back and forth, back and forth. And it was finally November 2022. It was Thanksgiving break. And I was on a family vacation. We were in North Carolina for that family vacation. We went up and snowboarded and just spent about 5 days there. And it was kind of an isolation. We were up in the mountains, obviously. I mean, we're gonna do some snowboarding, and it was really on my mind. I'm like, as soon as I come back, I have like 2 weeks finals, and I'm like, is this thing like for real?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I remember thinking about it going into that weekend, and I was doing a little journaling, and like I kind of had this like pressure of like, what the heck am I doing right now? Like, where is this supposed to go? And like getting like nervous and anxious and like was I inactive and I didn't make the right decision and I should
Right.
have gone a different path and I just waited way too long and now it's like, oh well, here you go, you're starting your business and like full like you're out of school, you should be doing something. And I'll say at the time it was easy to run the business and go to school because I didn't have to commit to one or the other wholeheartedly. I didn't have to say I'm all in on the business. It was the easy route to be able to say, yeah, I'm working on a business, but I'm also going to school. So it's kind of like if this thing over here doesn't work out, I
Yeah.
still got this. And if this thing doesn't work out, I still got this. And when I approached that weekend trip started, I had the anxiety. And I remember I got to the top of one of the hills, and I'm a snowboarder. I love snowboarding. That's like one of my
Awesome.
biggest passions when I
Yeah.
get to go on trips.
Cool.
And I'm sitting by myself, I go up in the chairlift, and this is like maybe midday end. And I remember sitting on the top of the mountain. I remember this like vividly. And I'm like I was just sitting there, I'm like shaking my head. Nobody else is around. I'm like, there's no way, man. Like there is no way. And like kind of just I'm sitting there, I'm like, right. And I mean, I don't think like it didn't get to the point, like it wasn't anything ridiculously crazy where I'm like bawling or tearing on the top of the
Yeah.
hill. But I'm like, is this really like am I lost? Like, am I not, like, do I not get, am I not seeing something here that, and so I'm stressed about it. I go down the mountain. I'm like thinking about it during that day. 2 more days, like it's pressing on my mind. And this is kind of like, in a sense, not the happy ending, but this is where it's like it really shifted my perspective on the important decision to make when you go through these moments of like extreme uncertainty. Because I had no idea. I've never done either one. Like I've
Yeah.
never gone out and taken a job after school. I've never started a business. And so, are you familiar, Wilson, with Dollywood by chance? It's in Tennessee. It's like the theme park after Dolly Parton.
No,
Have you
but
heard
it's
of that?
cool.
No.
I think I've heard of it, but yeah.
So she has a theme park there, and it's like roller coasters and just a bunch of other
Yeah.
like just normal theme park. And it's interesting because it's like Christian themed. So it was like during Christmas time, so
Yep.
they had people singing Christmas carols, and it was
Yep.
like cool lit up village and stuff.
Cool.
And this was crazy, man. And I think it's just testament to how cool the universe is, because I have this like pressure, this like anxiety rushing through me. And it was this, but midday when I go to Dollywood and I'm walking down like this the main road, like trying to find the next ride. My brother's way off ahead. I'm trying to find him and like figure out how to get on this next ride. And I am not one to like ever go in a shop. Like I'm not a shopper. I don't like to
Right.
like stop, whatever. Like that's just not me. For some reason this day,
Yeah.
I had this like little trigger to the left that happened. I'm like walking, and I like look, I'm like, huh. And I just had this like interesting appeal that I needed to walk into this store. And so just take a hard left into the store for no apparent reason. I don't know what I was looking for. And I go, and there's this rack of stickers up on the wall. And this is like I this happened, and it just like blew my mind. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I know the right answer. I saw a Bible verse quote that was on the wall. It was like a sticker they were selling, like a $2 sticker in the
Yeah.
store. And it says, walk by faith, not by sight.
Mm.
Walk by faith, not by sight. And it's 2 Corinthians 5:7. And I saw, like, it wasn't anything, like, it was just literally a normal sticker. Like nothing that was like, nobody told me about it. I just saw him, like, freaking blew my mind. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
okay, I get it. I just need to make a decision. And that's what it is. I just need to make a decision. I don't know what it's going to entail, because you don't. Before you make
Right.
a decision, you have no idea what's on the other side of that wall.
Right.
That's what making a decision is. When you have to cut off, you have two options. You have to cut off one and go to the other. You have no idea. I mean, you're sacrificing this possibility for going all in on this.
Right.
And I saw that, and it was like almost that the universe is, it was God's way of just showing me, like, trust. You make a decision and you'll figure it out. And when you make, and the learning takeaway, or like what I'd encourage others, because
Yeah.
this was like, it's burned in my mind, man. Like
Yeah.
it's burned at this experience is like, when you have this, like, life is going to throw those tough choices. You're going to have to decide between two great options, like great things. It's like one or the other. And it's like, you can't have them both, which is unfortunate. In life, you can have, which I believe is like, you can have anything you want. You just can't have everything, and you have to
Right.
choose.
Right.
And I think that moment just was such a tough time in the business, because I was not comfortable like stepping out of my comfort zone and like
Mm.
giving something my 100%. And then also accepting that if it failed, it's on me. So now it's like, I can't fall back in my 50
Yeah.
50 bet. It's
Right.
it's all in on me. So I wanted to share that, because that was a one of the biggest lessons I've learned in business, and just I think life lesson, is like trusting the process. You can't ever confidently say you know what's on the other side until you make the decision. And like the fact that you make the decision, you see such a beauty on the other side of life. Like you cut part of it off, but you see such a beauty when you can make that decision. But it takes faith. Like you have to trust that you have no idea what you're doing, and just make the step. When you make the step, it's like you open up a whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's what followed by faith, not by sight.
It's walk
Oh,
by
wow.
faith. Yeah, walk by faith and not by sight.
Very nice. Very
Yeah,
cool. Dude,
crazy.
and that was your aha moment.
It was. Yeah, one of the big ones, because I didn't have belief in like I knew what we were doing was great. Like a lot of people complimented and were like, yeah, it's a great thing you're doing for the community. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, employing students, helping people that can't do it, people that just don't want to do this stuff anymore. But still, I mean, it's like there's always that level of uncertainty. And I think that was the moment that it was like the okay, let's do it.
Let's
Let's dive
go.
in.
And then so then would you tell your parents are like, hey, I'm going all in on the entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I mean, they would ask questions as like, all right, what's the plan? Like, is this business thing going to work out? Can you support yourself? And I mean, a lot of it was
You're
just
like,
like
you just
very
gotta have
unknown.
faith, mom and dad.
Yeah, a lot of it was just like uncertain. And I was like, yeah, it was, I'm not really sure if it's going to work out, but it'll be a great learning experience. I think that's the approach I've had is like, no matter what happens, like if I just leave it all on the table, see like leave it all on the table and give my best effort to that 100%, then like something else will manifest out of it. Like maybe
Mm.
this isn't the end all be all. Maybe this isn't what happens when I'm 100 years old and like to do dudes taking
Yeah,
it to the
right.
grave. But like there's that 100% is going to lead to manifesting to other avenues if I do commit and continue to commit to it.
Yeah. And then just seeing you at BNI and the things that you do, it's like, yes, you fully committed, man. Like just
Mm.
commitment on top of, the next level of just wanting to learn and grow and create. So yeah, and again, I've said it to you, and I think more than myself have said it to you. Is just I can see you. I can see you where you're going to
Mm.
be at anyway, and it's incredible that's where, you were on the slope there asking for it.
Crazy.
And I think, a parallel to what we were talking about is that you were seeking something, right? You're reflecting on it. Like, what is this thing
Mm-hmm.
what is the thing? And then from there, you were open to at least some sort of perspective, and
Wow.
whatever put you in that
Yeah.
path to the left, that gave you enough to understand, and then boom, like go from that emotional state that you were on
Right.
to now being decisive and knowing like this is the way.
Huge.
Yeah.
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 It's such a so what just kind of popped in my mind when you say that is like the value of being curious, like just being open minded enough to experience what's going around. Like that's so huge because you can be closed minded and know every possible thing that's going to happen, but you're going to miss out on so many other opportunities that just happen from like pure curiosity and like, okay, I don't know. That's okay.
Yeah. Right. And then maybe the want to seek it, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like and that's where it comes with changing, and the whole nothing changes until you do. It's like, one, are you conscious of it? Two, do you know what you want to change? Three, do you know how to like get to that point of like reinforcing the change? And then you get to it where it becomes a habit. It just becomes part of the personality or who you are as a person. It's
Right.
freaking insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Crazy.
All right, man. So cool. All right. So what else you got? We got like 2 minutes left before we got to go on this episode.
Two
We definitely got
minutes.
to get you back again. This is going to be another,
Yeah.
we got to
Part
do it.
three? Do I get a part three?
Yeah, you
There's
got a
no
part three.
way.
There's nobody else so far that's got a part three. At some point we'll
Wow,
get them
that's
part threes,
incredible.
but
I'm honored. Yeah.
yes.
What's a final question? What else would be helpful to for your listeners to hear about?
So final question. Let's go. Less than 2 minutes. Where are you now with your business? What are you providing? And since 2022, like, what's 2024 look like?
Yeah, so 2020 started out very intro level. I was just doing work for neighbors. How it starts out is I help my grandma, then I help her neighbor, then I help the neighbor down the street, and then a street over, and then across the community. So it's just kind of that word of mouth just gets it rolling. And then that started in Hammock Dunes. So it was like one little gated community, and then it branched out. That next year was more focused on Palm Coast as a whole. So really
Sure.
diving in and getting calls across the entire city, which was incredible. And that was like 21, 22. And then 23, we were getting a ton of requests south, so into the Ormond Beach area. And we were in this like out of area kind of part of our company where we were like, you know what, that's too far. And people were like, it's Ormond, like that's just down the road. And we just continue to get so many requests from that area that we finally opened that up in September 2023. So not even a full year since we launched in Ormond, and that's starting to really pick up the pace right now, especially during summertime. And that's really the busiest time of year for our company is coming into summertime. And then now it's anywhere from basically LPGA to South St. Augustine is our coverage for our service area. That's where we are right now. I do believe and our team believes that this is something that has a lot of potential for long-term scalability. And what I mean by that is there is a yearning for students that are looking for a flexible opportunity to give back to the community and like feel good and learn while they're doing it. And that's the type of environment that we're trying to create here. Yeah, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So we're gonna have to wrap it up. We're gonna do a part 3 with you. Let's keep crushing it, everybody. Eric
Love
Libby is
it.
the real deal. Don't